Okay, let me guess. You're seeing hollows under the eyes. You've had them there for a little while, but people are starting to say, you look tired. Are you feeling well? And you feel great, and it's one of the worst things. Maybe some days they're not there. Other days, they're deep and hollow. Maybe you're just seeing it early and you want to do something, but you went online and you go to the review sites and you see RF microneedling, maybe fillers, maybe plasma, maybe skincare would do it for you. You're not sure what to do. We're going to talk about 5 common causes today, and I'm going to give you 3 of my top solutions, and at the end, 1 thing to absolutely avoid. Do not do this for your under eyes unless. So stay tuned for that. Now, if you're getting value out of these videos, please like them, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, share them. Share them amongst your colleagues or friends, anyone you think will benefit. Let's dive in to the 5 causes to start. Okay, so the first cause is genetic. So they've been there since your teenage years. They just get a little bit worse. Sometimes there's a little redness underneath, maybe some lymphatic flow problem, but genetic causes are quite common. The second cause is lack of sleep. I think we play this down for everything within our lifestyle, how our bodies are feeling. Stress and sleep plays much more of a role than anyone thought, and the science is now bearing this out, but lack of sleep certainly causes puffy eyes. Number 3 is sodium or salt intake, and people see it not to come down on sushi. I love sushi, but a lot of people ask them, they go to their favorite sushi restaurant, or they take, because the salt is in the soy, and they take salt for one reason or another, and the next morning there's increased eye bags, sodium, salt, fluid retention. Especially if there is a defect in the fat pad existing, you have some genetic preponderance, you're going to have oftentimes that waxing and waning. When people describe, some days it looks good, some days it doesn't. All things being equal, including the lighting, a lot of times sodium and salt retention are the culprit. Number 4, people don't like to hear it, alcohol. So people are drinking, of course, oftentimes alcohol is associated with poor sleep, of course, and late nights, but it also disrupts the rhythm in the REM, or rapid eye movement sleep. But alcohol itself can lead to under eye bags, and it makes it worse when people say, oh, you look tired, are you unwell? People know they've been taking a little bit of excess alcohol. Sometimes it happens in waves in people's lives, but it certainly leads to the under eye bags. Also, salt retention plays a role there. When you really get up with liver problems and you get up to the next tier of alcoholism and liver failure, certainly you have an imbalance of electrolytes and fluid retention. But just the occasional drink usually doesn't do it, but I would say habitual alcohol drinking does lead to under eye problems, bags, and premature aging. Number 5, and a common reason why people come to this channel, is simply demarcation of fat pads, hitting around 35, 40. The aging process, of course, starts very young, but fat pads in the face change as early as 20 to 25. But most people present now in the 40s, before it was 50s and 60s. If you see a slight difference in the outward appearance of the under eye, it's pretty extreme anatomically, physiologically. What do I mean? When you start to see outward signs of aging, a lot has occurred on the inside. So if you look at the fat pads, if you care to look at my other videos, demarcating lines of fat pads, meaning the fat pads shrink a little bit, they shift a little bit, and you see a line that's creating the tear trough or the lid cheek junction. Now on to what do we do about them? So my top 3 treatments, the first one, plasma eyes. PRF, platelet-rich fibrin, under the eyes. We talk about a lot on this channel, but the reason is it's not going to draw your own water in or fluids like fillers can, and it's natural. You can do a couple treatments, and it sets the skin up even if you're going to do fillers, because number 2 is fillers. And fillers can draw water in. So the choice of fillers is key. You don't want one that attracts water, whereas you might want one that attracts water maybe laterally here in the preauricular to save a bit of money, or in the lip where you want a little bit of water drawing in. Some people like that look. You might not want water at the vermilion border where the red and the white of the lip come together because you want that crisp. But under the eye, you absolutely do not want water drawing in filler, and that's what hyaluronic acid does. But filler is my number 2 because when we treat the window of the face, the under eye, a lot of times people don't like it. They want it dissolved. If it does draw more water in than we anticipate, you simply dissolve it. And now on to number 3 is skin tightening procedures. So when people talk about high frequency ultrasound, radio frequency, if done properly, not to reduce or hollow the eye by getting rid of fat, and the device can do both. It can get rid of fat or it can give good results. But one way around it is RF microneedling. Again, you have to know the settings. People want extreme settings in the lower face, meaning fat reducing settings, a lot of skin tightening settings, but they don't want that under the eye. So RF microneedling, you can adjust it, and it's not as intense as getting, say, radio frequency in bulk heating or high frequency ultrasound like Ulthera in bulk heating. People know what they're doing with those machines. They get good results. If not, RF microneedling to me is a little on the safer side for all comers. Okay, so what is it you absolutely don't do underneath the eyes? For me, now some people might do it, they might like it. For me and my patients, what I would do is what I talked about, those treatments. What I wouldn't do, I said 1, I'm going to give you 2, there's probably a third. Number 1, permanent fillers. I don't like, and I don't put permanent fillers underneath the eye. Number 2, a lot of people want to use fat dissolving injections, Kybella, phosphatidylcholine, deoxycholate, V-line solutions they're called in Korea. The Brazilians did quite a bit of this in the early 2000s. I remember there was a paper around 2003. I don't have it anymore. You might be able to find it. But people stopped doing it. And the eye, one of many things, but bad things could happen with the fat pad, with the hollowing the eye. It's non-specific. But imagine, because we know fillers can cause blindness, imagine putting a fat dissolving injection and getting it into the retinal artery. It's a whole discussion of how it would get there, but the vision vessel, that's not a good thing to have in your eye. Fat dissolving injections, and of course it can affect the myelin. So you get a downturn of the mouth, an unusual smile, it comes back if it happens down here. But imagine if you get rid of the myelin around the nerves around the eye, you could get double vision, or even in the back of the eye it could get to, theoretically. So fat dissolving injections. My third is a soft one, but we talked about RF microneedling with FDA approved devices. People know how to use them. People do want to use fat dissolving single injection RFs or RF microneedling probes like on cannulas. And it can work great for eye bags. It can work. But if people don't do a lot of them, what do I always mean by a lot? Like 100. Should do 100, 200, 300, 400. People don't do a lot of them. Or the settings are wrong, you can get rid of fat in the wrong place. So I'm not a big fan of aggressive fat dissolving RF devices to get rid of fat. At that point, surgery is probably a better option. Very different than RF microneedling. There's a distinction. So those are 3 things. Be mindful, the eye is delicate. Tell me, do you have under eye bags? What works best for you? Subscribe, like the channel, stay tuned here, keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.